a few $1,000s.
All right, I call the April 8th meeting to order. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance followed by a moment of silence.
Is okay, Dave?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gosh.
Golly, Jim Shelby's here.
He's back from vacation. It's good to see you. All right. Just a reminder to everybody that we are on YouTube and this is video streamed and live and all that. The first thing we're going to have on our agenda is going to pertain to sewer projects, but before we begin on that, I've spoken to Commissioner McDaniel regarding this, and I just want everybody to know that there will be another presentation coming up in the future. So nothing will be decided today on anything, but it's to listen to it and hear about it, okay? All right, with that, I will bring up first NineStar North State Road 9 sewer project on the agenda.
Could I just start this out?
Sure.
Just to remind everyone that we do have a strategic plan that the commissioners and council agreed to several years ago for development of sewer and water in the county. And that plan is based upon our feeling of a need to clean up the water in the county. And you can read it, but the sewer part of it has 4 proposals in priority order. Number 1 was to develop the 200 West sewer line, which is now being done, and we contributed $6 million to it from ARP money. Second one in the proposal is to do one on the North 9 corridor. Third is the Charlottesville corridor, and fourth is the Fountaintown corridor. So
What was the last one, Jim? I'm sorry. What was the last one?
I believe it's a Fountaintown.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
the fourth one, I don't know if you guys talked about it, but the fourth one, Mr. McDaniel has spoken with Jim Robertson down in New Pal, and I think New Pal is going to be involved in that one.
Okay.
That's a recent development, I believe.
Okay.
But other than that, you're correct, all the rest. Yeah.
Well, when you say cleaning up the water, the reason you're saying that is because we have small towns that don't have sewer systems. They don't have finger systems. We don't really know what tiles the sewage is going into. I can take you to Maxwell, that's where this project is coming from, and show you 35, 40 homes that we have no idea where their sewage is going.
I can tell you,
It's going somewhere.
They go on our property on 500 and in a ditch behind the house.
It gets to a ditch somewhere, but I've been, in my life, we've been out there trying to find septic tanks for years, and we give up a long time ago. And they just go into ditches somewhere. The sewage goes straight into the water table. And we have the same issue in Charlottesville. We have the same issue basically in Spring Lake. We have the same issue in a bunch of other places. So that's when he says clean up the water, it's to try to take care of those concentrated housing places that have never had any type of sewer systems.
I think you guys did my presentation.
Well,
We're good at that.
But along with the same time, economic development, along with the same time, allowing sewers to come into those areas creates more economic development, more housing development, more everything, because now you have access to sewer systems.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Council. Very much appreciated. But George Plasinski, Vice President of Engineering for NineStar Connect. And kind of starting out of, we kind of informally think of ourselves as the county's utility. You know, we're Greenfield Power and Light, and, you know, with the city of Greenfield, Greenfield Water, Greenfield Wastewater. The county really doesn't have any utilities, and we kind of think of ourselves informally of fitting that role. A lot of partnerships, especially in infrastructure, going back decades. Some of you on this board may recall of HC3 grants that the county helped secure, the city helped secure, the schools helped secure to lay fiber optic cable across the county to connect all county government, city government, and schools 30 years ago, kind of at the foundation of the internet. We have since built off that, and nearly every rural corner of Hancock County has access to fiber to the home and their services. It's just over time, these incremental investments build upon each other, and it's the snowball rolling down the hill, and eventually gets so large that you get the saturation effect with it. But kind of that rising tide lifts all ships. I think of why we're good partners is kind of strategic alignment. If you look at the way this county is structured, our government's structured, NineStar is very similar with our cooperative principles, that voluntary and open measurement or open membership. Much like a resident can move to Hancock County and, we, as a member of the community, you abide by our ordinances, much like you become a member of NineStar. We have bylaws, you abide by those. Voluntary, open membership, democratic member owner control. Our members vote for our board of directors from amongst the members to set rates. We're not-for-profit, which means we are federally income tax exempt. Property taxes every year. On your little handout card shows the amount of property taxes paid on our infrastructure and buildings throughout the community. But kind of on that, and kind of teeing up right on what Jim had said, is kind of a little journey of the approach of kind of where we have been on the 200 West corridor, where we're headed, Maxwell, and kind of what's our ultimate destination through in Charlottesville or and other unincorporated areas. So to kind of give you a little highlight of the wastewater, take that back. I know I've presented it orally, but at least you can see some pictures now. 4.5 miles of construction, 3 lift stations. It was a little over $9 million projects, and $6 million came from this board in the terms of ARPA funding for it. There's only 12 existing residents connected or in progress so far along 200 West, but that's not the kind of the big story for it. But some of those pictures, that one in the top left is 25 feet deep to the bottom, and that is right at 200 West, where they did a jack and bore to bring gravity sewer across 200 West. The excavators you see there, that was in the north side of Boulders at Sugar Creek. The top right is the new Boulders at Sugar Creek lift station. Bottom left is the new Mohawk Regional lift station just south of Amplify. Those 2 pipes you see are 8-inch, that's a low pressure system. That's right by the interstate. And then the drill rig that installed those 2 8-inch conduits for low pressure system parallel along 200 West there. So this didn't come, that $9 million project was just one thing that made the infrastructure available there. We also did a $2.2 million to replace the gravity mains and laterals in Riley Village. A lot of inflow and infiltration issues there. We wanted to be just sending wastewater through the wastewater lines and not be carrying storm water or groundwater through those. In 2026, we want to make this 200 West project more viable and get to more folks. In Wildwood, which was not part of the project of 200 West, but we have some aging overhead electric lines and rear easements. We're going to try kind of what we think is kind of an innovative project of installing electric facilities and gravity wastewater in the same bore in those rear easements to try to get this more people, more septics retired, more folks on wastewater. And if this is successful, we're trying to mirror that, over the next, taking it on another 1 to 2 streets year after year until we're able to sewer Wildwood. So on the water side of that, we did a little over a $5.5 million project getting a 12-inch water line from Gateway, our elevated tank out there at Hancock Health Gateway, out to Amplify. And we also did kind of a parallel project 2 years later, but last year when we finished this one up along US 40 of getting from the Gem area out to the Philadelphia area, once again with water lines. To fill those water lines, we needed additional capacity. So at our Philadelphia property, we invested about $4.5 million to create another 1.44 million gallons a day in water treatment capacity. So kind of this is the big thing, the results. So if you haven't been out there, you see houses cropping up all over the place. Mohawk Trails, it's 105 lots. Probably estimating total build out 18 months, 2 years. I think there's 30 homes going right now and it's only 105 lots. They seem to be starting about 14 homes a month, averaging. This was part of our wastewater agreement. So actually today we've been collecting $1,500 a lot for the county development fee. 50 lots collected this far, so don't let me leave without giving you a check for $75,000.
I won't.
No, I know you won't. Get tackled before I even get out the door.
You want to go up there now and get it?
Want to make sure that doesn't get lost.
But kind of on the average sales price of just north of $375,000, that's $40 million in AV to the county. It used to be collect 60 acres of farm field.
The $1,500 that you're collecting paid by the development?
It is.
Not the homeowner?
Not the homeowner. And then across the street, this one was exempt because it was an existing subdivision as platted, but it's still 113 lots. Average AV on those approaching $475,000 a home. That's going to add $53 million in AV to this county at full build out. So combined $93 million in AV, where 115 acres of farm field once sat.
So as we continue to lose property from Cumberland and the other entities, this is the things that'll shore up what we're, help shore up what we're losing instead of eventually the county just being depleted to small amounts.
Now, you may ask, why is there a painting of Maxwell from 100 years ago in this painting hangs in my office. I kind of have a special affinity for the Maxwell area. I grew up at Cranberry Drive and 400 North. I went to Eden. I went to Maxwell. I used to ride my bike to Mom and Pop's. So, but like I said, I proudly display that. It was painted by a former postmaster. I think it's M.K. Watkins in the mid-'80s. I'm hoping he was busy and didn't do it during work, but there is kind of, even in not the NineStar history, there's a special affinity for Maxwell. Many of you knew, he's since passed away, but our former Hancock Rural Telephone CEO, Dan O'Connor, he had heard that there was looking in Indiana of post office consolidation. He knew at that time that the Maxwell Post Office held a special place in the community. So he actually, even though our headquarters was a mile north of there and had a Greenfield address, he changed our billing remit to address to P.O. Box 108, Maxwell, Indiana, to generate another 15 or 20,000 pieces of mail volume through that post office to keep it there for the community. It's kind of those one little things of decisions in time that, preserved a place. And up until a few years ago, and the new owner did kind of a facelift to it, it looked very much like that with that kind of red paint up until a few years ago. So kind of the vehicle we're looking to utilize on this is the Hancock County Regional Water and Wastewater District. It is eligible for SRF funding, SRF loans, whereas a NineStar is not eligible for those. And thankfully, so it was 30 years ago on Groundhog Day this year when the commissioners at the time, and it was all about local control. At the time in the legislature, there was some legislation floating around about if a county did not have, or an existing utility did not have a district in that area, then it would default to the IURC to find somebody to basically give that territory for. So this county, all about local control and controlling their own destiny, formed this district. Up until this point, there's been, kind of de minimis activity to it, but because of this, there's a vehicle to move this project. A little bit of the background for the Maxwell area. In 2016, we acquired the Greenfield Central, Maxwell, and Eden package plants. Looking at those, that there was just enough head capacity on those that you could connect some additional things, not a ton, but at 20,000 gallons a day, 50,000 gallons a day peak for Maxwell, and 10,000 gallons for Eden. At the time, County Materials was either looking to expand or relocate elsewhere. It was because of sewer that they were able to expand on their existing property. So we were able to instantly leverage that now asset to get sewer under State Road 9 and get County Materials for their expansion. Since then, Smith's Projects, Maxwell Meats, Edward Jones, those small businesses, Sapphire Springs, if you're familiar with that neighborhood around 700 North and 250 East, is served by our sewer. So the Hancock County government body took a big step in this area of creating in 2022 a TIF district. Runs along State Road 9, about 0.8 of a mile east and west on average, runs from 400 North up to about the 9500 block. and encompasses about 3,800 acres. In 21, NineStar acquired 17 acres north between 600 north and 700 north. And in March 25, this would be kind of for a future wastewater treatment plant site. There is a ditch that runs right along the back side of it. And we submitted a preliminary effluent limit application to IDEM. In April, we got a response that, yes, all looks good, but, we can't make final determination until we have engineering plans for a treatment plant to say, give you the thumbs up. So kind of on that need, Maxwell, as Councilman Fisk has kind of alluded to, there's some lots as small as 0.11 acres. Most lots are between 1/4 and 1/2, Country Mill between 1/2 an acre and 0.65, and homes along 500 north 1/2 an acre. Depending on soil conditions, that's still pretty small for a fully functioning septic tank and finger system. And probably the biggest thing is, when you're sizing lots and the planning is working on this now, but the second you put that septic system in is you got to have room for its replacement at some point in its history. The clock's ticking on it from day one that it's eventually going to fail. And on lots that small, I don't see any way that you could fit, number one, a first functioning system on it, but let alone the next system on it. We engaged with the commissioners on jointly funding a SRF PER, preliminary engineering report, and kind of taking in mind the target of it and specifically tailored on that environmental component of it. But then what did the county want to see, from that planning, from that zoning? What kind of development do they want to see? They engaged in a study that Clark and I were part of envisioning that area of kind of that agri-science biotech corridor. So our PER took that in mind, and you can see on there it's low density commercial near the school, residential and commercial, low density. It's not speculative buildings, it's not warehouses, it's what we saw for that area from what we heard from this board and what we worked on in that committee. There was an article, I think that Mr. Higbee gave kind of a preview maybe to I think it was to the commissioners on kind of what was in the final report wasn't there, and it's kind of moving forward. But then from the economic development, envisioned as a next generation rural innovation ecosystem, a place where agriculture, life sciences, and technology converge to drive both economic growth and community well-being. Does that sum up a lot of the work we did?
I think that sums up 9 months of work pretty good.
Yep.
A couple sentences.
It feels impactful, one sentence in 9 months of work, but it's close. So kind of in that PER, that SRF option, in January 25, NineStar and the commissioners entered into an MOU to jointly commission this PER. In March 2026, that final report was available. And in April 1st actually, submitted SRF under the vehicle of the Hancock County Regional and Wastewater District. So looking at some of those components, just real high level, sequencing batch reactor, SBR, wastewater treatment plant starting at 100,000 gallons a day. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, especially when you're anticipating growth, but SBRs and aeromod plants, they can almost be infinitely expandable. It's not, you build it for 100,000 gallons and now you need 200, you don't rip and replace it. You just add more tanks and add more components, almost like Lego bricks, and you just continually building out. The infrastructure we wanted to go big on, you don't want to dig that up and replace it at some point when it goes. So the infrastructure is a lot bigger. I know that's going to be a little hard for you to see, but kind of highlighted at least some of the projects as I quickly talk about them was the Maxwell Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant that would retire the Maxwell package plant, the Eden package plant, regionalize those to a central hub. An interceptor, I think it's 18-inch going north along State Road 9. Eden Elementary School pump station, when we retire the lift station, we have to install pump stations to get it to the regional treatment plant. I've listed this one in yellow to show you kind of on the next page when we talk just high level costs. We kind of thought that that would be an option A, option B type bid. If the bids came in reasonable or under, felt like that could be part of the project. If they're a little higher than anticipated, then that one could easily kind of shift to a future state and maybe even put that on a developer should something go around there. Coming south along State Road 9, it was a 21-inch interceptor gravity. Same thing like we did at Eden at Maxwell, we have to convert that to a pump station. Along 500 North would be gravity sewer. And the big one is Maxwell gravity and laterals. So covering all those homes in the town of Maxwell, Country Mill, getting all those connected to sewer, including the lateral.
Is there going to be,
I'll go back
I
now.
assume for existing homes, there'll be a tap fee involved?
We're talking about when we're doing the lateral, we're trying to take any of the barriers to connecting away from them.
Nice,
Yep.
nice.
I think the septic systems, is probably Kent knows of excavating those. They may be a 55-gallon drum at one point, and then maybe they needed some more capacity, so they welded another 55-gallon drum to it to double their capacity on some of those septic systems.
Yeah, if they didn't just directly tie into a tile, because we couldn't find we couldn't find anything a lot of times. But in the future, like for the apartments that are south before you get to the interstate, and even Cranberry, because a lot of septic systems in Cranberry suck, even those areas eventually will be able to be put on the system.
We'd probably have to come through mutual agreement. 400 North is the dividing line between NineStar Connect's wastewater service territory and the city of Greenfields.
Okay.
When we first came to the commissioners to ask for sewer territory, we respected the existing municipalities' 30-year growth plans. And at the time, Greenfield projected that 400 North would be future town limits 30 years or now 25 years from now.
Okay. Yeah, because those apartments have been there for 45 years. There was sewage standing in the septic fields 25, 30 years ago. And there's quite a few little apartments there.
Absolutely. Even like I said, when we talked about Charlottesville, in that foundational documents for the Hancock County Regional Water and Wastewater District, it mentioned Charlottesville, and that was 30 years ago.
I sit on a board with Bev Guard 25 years ago about air water quality in the thing, because we had a big sanitation company at the time, and Charlottesville was on the hit list in this. Out of all the state issues, Charlottesville was on the hit list then. It's amazing.
I'm looking at kind of those high-level costs. Each one of those items I circled, has a SRF cost and an SRF eligible. The only difference between like the far right column and the column just to the left of it is SRF does not cover land acquisition, so purchasing easement. So that's why there's just a little distinction between those two. Total probable was estimated was right around just under 22 million, and same thing with SRF eligible of just under 22 million. So I pointed that out when I had that Eden lift station in there, because it has a high dollar, about 1.2 million. That's one that we could easily make optional to try to keep this project under 20 million. But if we get some very aggressive contractors, aggressive bids, and can get all this stuff done for less than 20 million, that's definitely kind of a bargain. Looking at kind of the timeline as laid out in the PER, that red line shows kind of where we're at today with April 26th. We submitted the PER to SRF for evaluation. It looks like for June, we anticipate some type of PER approval, and then working that all the way out till November 2029 of initiation of operation. I think there is some lead in there, or some time that can be made up. There's quite a bit of time between June of 26 of completion of environmental and then land and easement acquisition complete. I think we can probably aggressively pursue those and ramp up that timeline, and maybe even to a January or a February, or at least spring of 2029 operation.
So we were looking at, this is 2026, so you're looking at 2029 as capability of breaking ground is what, no?
Completion of project in
Completion of the
2029.
project. So break down the funding of the 20 million. You said because it's a district, there is grants available for some of that. And then what will the council be in hooks for funding for?
However, Jim, I don't know if you have any kind of how, maybe the anticipation of the district funding?
Yeah, the funding we have talked about so far is we would fund the whole thing.
The whole 20 million?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not available for assistance, federal assistance or anything on that?
They may be, but I guess the way we've looked at it so far is let's not count on it. Let's work with the total, and we would fund it, We would go after grants, both state and federal, but we wouldn't count on it. We
Okay.
wouldn't hold it up because of that.
And because this is a TIF area, then the other TIFs areas can support the funding?
What we hope, it'd be about $1.5 million a year, probably, for the bond payment.
Can't use
Yeah, you can.
TIF money from another township for a project in another township unless they are in some kind of lineage compatible
can-
or
you-
compared to servicing area. That's my understanding.
Originally, our thinking was that we hadn't thought about the TIF area yet. So we were looking at maybe getting it from economic development and/or food and beverage, some combination of those two.
Yeah, but I think if we delve in, there is initial TIF funding, even if it's, because you're talking about a bond, okay?
Yeah.
I think they're, because the TIFs are contiguous to each other, they all match up now. I think you might be able to draw from the other TIFs.
That would be great. That would be
I
great.
don't know.
Well,
I have a feeling about
they're
what
not
I
separate.
thought, so.
Yeah, but they're not separate anymore because we TIFed everything. We TIFed everything from a half a mile east of 9 to county line.
So those TIFs touch each other
Right.
They
now.
touch each other.
It's a continuous TIFing.
Yeah.
And it would also be, from the political end of it, it would be a way to say that we're using some of the funds that are coming from the warehouses to benefit everybody in the county.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be gone at the end of the year, so my opinion isn't going to matter too much as we get later in the year, but I would want to say that I would want to see the TIF monies generated from the areas that they are actually paying from to primarily stay in that area and service their needs, being whether it's road improvements, infrastructure, what have you. And if there's a contributory factor from the other TIF, define that and know that it's not going to be a major contribution, that you're not going to bank on Buck Creek Township TIF money to support a Center Township State Road 9 project as a whole. That's just my feeling on it.
My gut is on that, like I said, you're not going to see the development in that area, in that particular TIF area until it's but lack of water and wastewater of why we haven't seen development there. It may just need a year or two infusion after those facilities are in place and then hopefully generating enough TIF on its own to support that.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Well, the auspices of it is, in order for the Mount Comfort area to stay sustainable, in order for the mega sites and all those things to stay alive, we're going to have additional residential housing to support that at some point. And that's like from 200 west east of there. And then that's basically what's happening here, is you're going to see residential areas be able to be created because of the sewer systems and stuff like that. Because if you remember when you saw the original thing that farmers brought to us about the mega site, they had apartment complexes and all kinds of things around between here and McCordsville, and that has to be supported somehow with sewer systems. And so that's why all this runs contiguously.
Kind of right along those signs with wastewater, NineStar is trying to parallel that project to get public water, fire protection out in that same area throughout that entire corridor. It's a little project we're calling Heartland Horizons, kind of back to that kind of ag bioscience, rural living type of corridor. We're looking at a future well field, a water treatment plant, an elevated tank on 28 undeveloped acres that we own on the southeast corner of State Road 9 and 600 North. In June of '24, we conducted both a 6-hour, which is not required, and a 24-hour required pump test, and received a permit for 3.3 million gallons a day of withdrawal from that particular aquifer, safe yield. About safe yield, it was if you had to pump 3.3 million gallons a day for 100 consecutive days, those pumps never shut off, that folks with residential wells in that area would not be affected. That's kind of the requirement of when you actually receive your permit. So some kind of the components of that is a water treatment plant. Looking at a 3.3 million gallon a day horizontal pressure filtration. For what that looks like, look no further than Beacon-Holt Park at the City of Greenfield's water treatment plant back there. It's the very similar design. Elevated tank, the breaking point as far as if you sell Greenfield's new, I think that's a 2 million gallon composite tank there by the 911 center. The break point between using a composite and a spheroid design is about 750,000 or 1 million gallons, but being able to price both those out and see what we need for that particular area based on kind of the hydraulic modeling. We're getting ready to start on another, or 750,000, Scott, in kind of your neck of the woods. You may have gotten a letter from me in the last month or so to let you know that and show you a picture of what it's going to look like when it's done. And then the biggest thing is the water mains. Like I said, going big from day one to support whatever the future holds for the next 30, 40, 50 years in that Maxwell area of 12 or 14 inch along State Road 9 and 500 North, and then 6 to 8 inches within the kind of unincorporated town of Maxwell, Country Mill, ensuring fire protection, public safety, public water supplies. And looking at our estimated water infrastructure costs is just north of $24 million to make that project viable. So on some of those Heartland Horizons, the letters of support that we've received was from Greenfield Central Schools. They also submitted a letter of support for the SRF application. Maxwell has had documented instances, even though we handle their wastewater, they do have wells there for their water supply. They've been contaminated with E. coli. They have to test those daily. And every once in a while, they do fail a test. And when that happens, those wells have to be bleached. They have to be cleaned. They have to bring in skids and skids and skids of bottled water for all the students. And, when we purchased the wastewater treatment plants, and Dr. Olin had kind of told us that I'm not in the utility business, I'm in the educating students business, and I was happy to get that off my books and not have to worry about wastewater anymore, but he still has to worry about water because they are on wells still there too. And contaminated or septic fields that are failing, they do contaminate wells. And Maxwell, like I said, being a public institution, they do have to test their water daily, where residents do not. So kind of finally, what's our ultimate destination with this? Is after we get done Maxwell, I didn't include Fountaintown in here. I didn't even kind of think of that. Sometimes I think of that as a Shelby County community, but you're right, it is in Hancock County. But Charlottesville, Mohawk, Philadelphia, Willow Branch, there's all these kind of unincorporated villages that this same model could work to be able to sewer those. But I think Maxwell is kind of first and foremost. It's a known issue, and there's quite a bit of viability towards economic development in that area. It doesn't hurt that it has a couple schools there as well.
Is it possible to receive the presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to share it. I may have to give it to Bernie via flash drive. It's about 75 meg, and so I got a lot of pictures, got a little happy on there. But I wanted to show you at least what was accomplished.
George, I don't know whether you, I didn't hear it, covered it, but to get to the Charlottesville project, the idea is to, for the people who pay a monthly fee for the sewer line in the 9 North area, there would be a small amount of monthly addition to their fee that would then be coming into a sinking fund that would eventually be able to be used for the construction of the Charlottesville sewer system.
I didn't get into the Charlottesville, but we did kind of we'll call it a PER light of Charlottesville, and those numbers were very high. I think Maxwell and Charlottesville were almost on the same level with the number of residents, and if you looked at just servicing debt payments, the sewer bills would have to be north of $300 a month just to support the debt service. That's not paying principal, that's just interest on the note. NineStar, like I said, we think of ourselves creatively. Our kind of cooperative grandmothers and grandfathers saw an area, they were doctors, businessmen, agricultural farmers. They saw Greenfield had electricity and they didn't. They saw, maybe New Palestine had electricity and they didn't. And they came together and they figured out a way to make it happen. And now all of Hancock County and all those rural areas have electricity out there. So we're facing these same problems that we faced before, nearly 90 years ago in rural America with electricity.
We had, Janine and I, when we were doing the comprehensive plan, we went to all the different entities. And when we went to Charlottesville, they were very positive about it. And they knew, you know, to hook up, there might be some costs, but the fire department needs the water. They have to take their tankers someplace else to get water. And they said, we can't even have a gas station because you have to have restrooms. And, you know, and so they were all very positive about they wanted all that out there.
So I think we can get there, but I think it would probably be 2030s timeframe.
Well, I appreciate everything you've done, and I remember sitting in the little meeting room more than 4 years ago when we talked about ARPA the first time, and we talked about these needs, and getting out to Charlottesville was, you know, a pipe dream because it would cost so much money, and that's when we decided on the 200 West project, and it's cool to see it come to fruition. And I just wanted to say, I don't know if the public in general knows, but I want to thank NineStar for being such a community contributor. I don't know if the general public is aware how much you guys give back and your employees volunteer and you put your employees in our civic programs like Leadership Hancock County, and you guys are just a great contributor to the community.
Appreciate that. It's kind of those cooperative principles, concern for community.
You know, the community's going to grow. We can't stop it. It's been happening for years. It doesn't look like it's ever going to stop. So the only thing we can do is enhance the areas we want it to grow in. So we kind of create an environment where we want the growth to go. And so where we want the growth to go is where our infrastructures are. And that's why this, and if you look at the North State Road 9, the state has dumped millions of dollars into North State Road 9, keeping it up to date. Last year alone, fixing interchanges or, you know, where fatalities had happened, and all kinds of things like that. And then we have schools up there, so access to education is very viable. I know Maxwell has plenty of ground to expand their schools if they have to eventually. You know, fire departments eventually had to be moved, you know, expanded up into that area. But I think it's important for us as the county to embrace those infrastructures up there. If not, then the cities will have to do it. And then we lose more of the county whenever the cities have to take over stuff.
Anything else? I want to try to stay on task today because we have a pretty packed schedule. And I know some of us have a meeting at 11:30. So anything else? All right. Thanks, George.
Thanks, George.
All right. Next up is for this on the agenda of 9 o'clock, sewer projects with Lana.
Afternoon, everybody. Lana Beregszazi. I'm the owner and founder of BCS Management. Thanks, George. We worked with NineStar in the county on the 200 West project. After listening to George, I'm going to back up on what I was going to talk about and still make it quick. I know you guys have a packed agenda and you just listened to tales of sewer projects for 30 minutes, and I think George outlined that, the projects themselves quite well. I founded my company 13 years ago in Allen County, managing the Allen County Sewer District and septic elimination projects. I thought, what am I doing in sewers? Why am I working in sewers? Doesn't everybody already have this figured out? Don't the engineering firms do all of this? And I want to point out that we do not do engineering, but I found a niche in sewer districts and since have built a company that specializes in sewer districts. We've formed them, we've dissolved them, we've combined them, we run them on a contract basis. Excuse me, so I'm going back to what I wasn't going to say, but George pointed out something really important is that you guys have a county sewer district that does not have any employees, it does not have any infrastructure, it doesn't have, it has a board, and I think some people know who's on it and some people do not, but it is a great mechanism that you can use to get SRF funding for projects that otherwise would not be eligible. And so somebody has to manage those interfaces, right? So NineStar has been a great partner. They're a wonderful utility. They're a wonderful county agency. But if they're going to be running these projects through the county sewer district, they need somebody that specializes in sewer districts that can help you put together your capital stack, that can help you with the public relations and be that interface between the county agency and the entity that's going to ultimately run these, which we believe for the most part will be NineStar. We do have a project that's listed here that is the New Pal one. That's still included in the concept that I want to talk about today, but I think that one would be an exception to the county sewer district approach, if you will, because I think unlike NineStar, New Pal has a sewer district. They can be eligible for SRF funds on their own, but they're probably going to be asking for some startup funding, which is the concept that I've put in this handout for you guys. I don't have a fancy slideshow like George, maybe next time. But I did put something together here that talks about how do we prioritize projects? How do we get these projects moving forward? How do we determine what the rates are going to be? How do we get creative in communities like Charlottesville that, as you guys know, if we go forward with the project that George described, would not be affordable for the residents of Charlottesville. You can't move forward with a project that's going to be $300 a month sewer bills in rural Indiana. So a lot of what we do is basically coming up with how to solve a problem from essentially nothing. And someone has to help get that process in place. So a lot of the projects we've done over the last 13 years have been in areas that are very much so like Charlottesville and like Maxwell, where we have to get creative. We have to find a way to combine what we refer to now, the term is the capital stack. You guys were talking about TIF funds. You were talking about SRF grants. You're talking about connection fees, contributing from the school, whomever is going to be putting that together. And that's the piece that we put together. But somebody has to kind of fund what we would, I hate the term owner's rep, but that's essentially what it is, where we would say, what's the priority going to be? Where are the funding sources going to come from? What should the engineers be focusing on? How can we make this affordable for the residents? And that could be paid for, what I'm presenting here as the, name it whatever you want, but the Hancock County Water Local Revolving Fund. And you would create a fund that would be used specifically for these kind of startup planning, owner's rep, contractual arrangements between the Hancock County Regional Sewer District and the municipality that will or the co-op that will ultimately operate these areas, the public buy-in, the public relations, the rate planning, all of the pieces that are non-engineering for these projects. And then betting on that the project would eventually have an ultimate financing mechanism, whether that is bonds, whether that is grants, whether that is TIF money or some combination thereof. All of those expenses up to that point at the time of loan closing would then be eligible non-construction costs that could be submitted as part of the loan closing or the bond closing and reimbursed back to the county, essentially recycling back into that fund to move on to the next one. So in George's timeline, he had Maxwell loan closing in October of 2027, right, George? That particular one, if the county seed fund contributed to the administrative and operational setup and the public relations of that project, when that loan closed, those funds expended would be reimbursed back into the fund to go to the next one. We also have some ideas about Charlottesville. Would love to coordinate with NineStar on that, but utilizing, again, leveraging the Hancock County Regional Sewer District as the actual owner of that project until the long-term operational and foundational financing is put together. So what I have here is not actually a proposal to utilize my company. It's not a proposal to utilize BCS management. I did present something similar to the county commissioners that had some more specific projects on March 16th. Those were suggestions of priority projects based on our discussions with NineStar and with the county planning director and county engineer, and just some ideas that we believe would be the priority projects. Those can, of course, change, and the structure and the pricing of those can, of course, change. But my intent here is to introduce to you all the idea, the concept of a revolving fund at the county level to start moving these projects forward in a viable way outside of the engineering. The engineering would likely need to be included, which is why I suggested the funding levels that I did. That would be what I've put in here for seeding the fund would be for services in addition to ours, including engineering and legal, survey, things like that, everything that's required to get you to the point of financing your projects. So this is something that we're taking to other counties. We have successfully in the past reimbursed seed funding for these types of projects to counties, but it was kind of in the past it's been you guys get this started, we'll get the project finance, and then we'll reimburse you, and that was the end of it. The thought of a revolving fund loan is a new program that we're taking to several counties as a way of continually, every county has multiple small communities that are unincorporated or incorporated but don't have a utility that need this type of thing. And so this is something that we think can be beneficial across the state of Indiana, and especially in Hancock County where you have such a great partner like NineStar being your county utility, as George puts it. So
I have just a couple questions. Lana, you've been working with NineStar a long time, right? Because I think I probably met you 4 years ago talking about that first 200 West project.
that's right, yes.
You're an attorney, right?
I am not an attorney.
Oh, okay.
Should have went to law school. I could charge more.
Oh, yeah.
But I did put together that contract between the county. No offense, attorneys. I did draft the contract between the county and NineStar for those reimbursements and such. And a lot of that, I'm not an attorney, so I draft it with the concepts that we think will work from a business and foundational operational perspective, and then run it through the attorneys to make sure it's sound.
And then, based on your prior experience, Jim mentioned, there might be funding, we won't plan on being funded. In your experience, how optimistic are you about receiving funding from the various sources you know about?
Well, that's a great question, Keely. First of all, SRF has become much, much more competitive. And so ranking on those projects has become significantly more difficult regardless of how good your PER is. But I do know that SRF is highly focused on the environmental stewardship piece. They score their projects much higher for that. Most of the projects that get ranked need the financing to make the rates affordable for the homeowners. And there's, combined with the environmental stewardship piece, which we know Maxwell will score high on just because of what we know, and the income, the median income. The issue with the income piece in Hancock County is that your county-wide median income is pretty high. So sometimes it's hard on these applications to get hyper-focused on a specific small area that is actually lower income. But long-winded way of saying you have a good chance. But in the last 3 to 4 years, we've had to get a lot more creative with financing and do that, bring in the word capital stack all the time, where it's a little bit of SRF, a little bit of grant, and then it's TIF dollars. And I know Mary mentioned she wants to keep the TIF dollars where the TIF dollars are. But also, it's just creative ways of making this affordable. You can't have $300 sewer rates. You just can't. But I think it'll rank, but I can't say that it will. It's just gotten a lot harder. Projects that you think absolutely will get grant funding don't always.
So the fact that the water is contaminated will help our cause.
Yes. Yes, environmental need is a big deal there. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Lana.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Hancock County Public Library Annual Update. Dave Gray, come on up.
Good morning. Thank you.
With the state.
Oh, I can do it. We have, every 4 years, we have to make an appointment to the board appointment to the Hancock County Public Library. Dave Gray and I have spoken, and he has a suggestion of who it shall be.
I talked to Scott, and I said we have an opening on our board, and he suggested somebody from Friends of the Library, which is a wonderful separate 501c3 that helps provide for literacy needs in the community and sometimes outside the community, but also for the library as well. So I got him in contact with the Friends Board president, and she's actually here today, Mary Lynn Burrows, who I think would be, we both thought would be a wonderful addition to our board. She knows, she already has a key to the back door for the Friends, so she's in all the time, and we work together well. And I think it would be a good way to highlight the Friends of the Hancock County Public Library as well.
Do we have to vote on?
Yeah, we have to have a motion and a second, and then vote on the board members. The term is good for 4 years.
Correct.
I think Mary Lynn is an excellent choice, so I would like to move that we appoint Mary Lynn Burrows.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve Mary Lynn Burrows for the board appointment to the Hancock County Public Library. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. Her first meeting will be next Tuesday. We'll get the paperwork done, and I'll get it to Mary and get all that notarized. So thank you very much. Appreciate your support. I know you have a full agenda. I have a very quick annual update. On my first slide, I always like to go over how we spend our money. And on the left-hand side, you have what we spend. On the right-hand side, you have state averages that we get from the Indiana State Library. So from salary and benefits, we're pretty lean. We try to be so we can be flexible. We're about 53%. The average is 61. Collection, we're usually around 18-19%. We're just under 18% this year. The average is 14. We try to put as much into the collection as we possibly can. Supplies is usually about average. Other services and charges is a big area. It could be anything from landscaping, snow removal, which we've had a little bit of this year. So we're usually a little bit under on that. We're over on capital because, as you know, we came for an additional appropriation for 2 new boilers and a chiller in a 20-year-old building, so that was expensive. And then right after the primary election, we're usually the most popular site, we'll be doing some extensive work in our parking lot because it needs a lot of attention. On the next slide, just a quick overview of some of our 2025 stats. I'm happy to say we have over 21,000 active cardholders. We had almost 460,000 visits to one of our locations, including the bookmobile. Kind of a fun fact, if everybody checked everything in at the same time, we wouldn't have enough room to put it on the shelf, but we would have 252,190 items. We usually have somewhere in the neighborhood of 35,000 to 40,000 items out at any given time. We had over 19,000 people attend one of our 874 programs last year. A breakdown between physical and electronic, which electronic is a big growing area for us, but we still have a very healthy physical collection. We're at about 68-32, about 634,000 physical items checked out last year, and just over 293 digital items. And we're seeing the digital increase about 2 to 3% every year. Not included in that 21,000 cardholders is a great partnership we have with all 4 school systems to where we provide electronic cards to all the students. So we've issued over 25,000 cards. Those are for electronic items only, but it also helps when those kids come into the library. It's easier to give them a card because we already have them in our system and ready to go. Those students have checked out 89,000 items. Our electronic resources, a little bit of a breakdown. We checked out over 17,000 movies, TV shows. Kind of maybe surprisingly, we checked out more audiobooks than we did ebooks last year. So we checked out over 151,000 audiobooks and over 118,000 ebooks. We had over 5,900 songs streamed, and we also have a service called tutor.com, and that's anywhere from, it's K through 12, but it's also for adult learners in college as well, and those are actually live virtual tutoring sessions. We started that midway through the year, and we had 665 tutoring sessions, and I did have my son, who is at Purdue University, use that for calculus, and that worked out really well. Beyond the bookshelf, we do experience passes, so when we can, we try to have free and reduced state parks, museums, cultural sites across the state. We also have board games, learning tools, puzzles, Blu-ray players, iPads, and Wi-Fi hotspots that are very popular. And again, we have study rooms at both our locations in Greenfield and New Palestine, and we had over 63,000 people use one of our small study rooms. Maybe surprisingly, you think everyone has internet and a computer at home, but we had over 53,000 computer sessions on our public computers last year. And again, over 19,000 people attending one of our 874 programs. We can also personalize service for you if you have an issue or something that you'd like to work on, whether it might be your laptop, your iPad, one of our services, or genealogy. We can book a librarian and we match you up with the person that's best suited for that. We can also help you find your next great read. For parents, if you give us your child interest and reading levels, we can have a stack of books ready for you to go. And we also do interlibrary loans. Sometimes there are some items that we might not purchase, we might not be able to purchase, but we work with other libraries, academic and public, across the nation to not only lend but also borrow books as well. Try to provide service wherever you are. Hopefully you've seen our bookmobile and some of the parades and some of the community nights. We had 466 stops last year, serving almost 18,000 people. Wilkinson, Shirley, the local healthcare community, schools, and many more. We also have delivery service as well. We will pick up and deliver materials for patrons. So we had 153 homebound patrons that couldn't make it in. And we also provide special teacher collections when they contact us. So if they're working on a particular lesson, we can absolutely get a special collection for them, and we did almost 200 of those last year. Another project that we had last year was a remote locker on those eastern 3 townships. It's not always economically feasible to have a brick and mortar location, but we do have the bookmobile. We do work with the schools, and we also installed a remote locker. It's actually the same lockers that are used by Amazon and Home Depot, but they're branded and the software is specialized for library service. So you can actually check out, of course the students can check out any of our electronic items that they would like with the electronic card. If they have a physical card, we can also have, for anyone, because it's right outside the main entrance of the high school at Eastern Hancock Schools, and they're wonderful to work with us on that. You can request any of our physical material, and we'll have it there in 2 to 3 days, depending on when you request it. You're notified, you walk up, you scan your card, the locker pops open, you grab your items, and it's checked out to you at that point. You can also return back to the same location and return your items as well. Summer readings are our busiest time of year. We try to help with the summer slide. We had almost 4,200 participants read almost 8.5 million minutes. As I said before, we had over 19,000 people at 874 programs, but in that short 2 months, we had 8,900 people participate in 237 special activities and programs over the summer. We have a wonderful partner with the Community Foundation. We've been working with Imagination Library since 2016. The Community Foundation is the funding piece, and we do all the administration, so we take care of any address changes and new users. We usually have around 2,700 people enrolled in the program, and you can see a breakdown of where they are. If you've graduated, if you're not familiar with the program, you receive a book at home once a month from birth to age 5. And if you go through that program, we consider you graduated, and we've had over 3,300 kids graduate from the program. I have a link up at the top from a Daily Reporter article that they took the data from the kids and then their testing data as well. And it showed that those kids that participated in Imagination Library scored higher on kindergarten readiness than those kids that did not, which we knew, but it's always nice to get the data that backs that up as well. A couple other projects that we worked on last year. We fully redeveloped our website to better feature our services and spaces. Of course, we want to be compliant as well. We are, and we also refreshed our mobile app. I always put my contact information in here. That also includes my cell phone number. If you ever have any questions, concerns, anything at all, please do not hesitate to contact me. We're always happy to talk about the library.
When I get locked out of the app, I call you, right?
Let me know.
Just text him.
We want those checkouts.
He's probably not the one that solves it for you.
Yeah. Not so bad.
Dave, specifically, how do you support the Eastern Hancock
Sure.
School?
So I've been at the library for 24 years now. When I first started, we actually had a satellite branch at Eastern Hancock. It didn't go over as well as we'd like, obviously for financial reasons and just logistics. It was difficult to have something out there. And then if you do, where do you put it? I mean, there's a township where there's not even a Coke machine. So working with the schools has been key for us. So working with the schools with the bookmobile stops and as well as these lockers, you don't have to come to Greenfield. You don't have to come to New Palestine. It started off a little bit slow with the lockers, but that's kind of the way that we wanted it, just so we could work out some of the kinks. And so that's actually gone very, very well because that school is the kind of the hub of that whole community. And so that kind of, a lot of people come to the school as well. So we've seen good traffic and increased traffic with those lockers, as well as our special deliveries. And also some of our homebound patrons are in the eastern part of the county, as well as our bookmobile stops that we come through. And we also go to Eastern Hancock schools, in addition to Wilkinson, Shirley, and Charlottesville. Technically park in Henry County when we're in Shirley, but we're there.
People are literate on the east side.
Absolutely. We love our Eastern Hancock patrons.
You guys do a great job. My son loves the library, you
Good,
know.
I see him there too, yeah.
He thinks it's an awesome place to be.
Good. We'd love to hear that.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks,
Thank you.
Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
All right. Yeah, you got, any of you guys, I've gone to his board meetings about once a year roughly, and you guys can go to it anytime you want. We're pretty educational, tell you a lot of things. He's very, very helpful and always willing to talk to you if you go. So, all right, next up is 9:30 Vernon Township Public Library Annual Update with Ashtan Bennett.
Good morning. As you know, my name is Ashtan Bennett. I am the Library Director for the Vernon Township Public Library. Some of the things I'm going to share with you today are also going to mirror some of the statistics and things that, of course, our Hancock County Public Library is doing in terms of collaboration and working with all of our patrons. So our year in review, the first page that you have, I like to showcase a plotted map of where our cardholders are, specifically since we're township-based. So you can see all of those red dot clusters, all of those are individual cardholders. We did see an increase of almost 13.5% of our cardholders, almost reaching over 43,000 of our residents have cards. So Vernon Township, our census numbers from 2020 that we based that data off of is still 15,615, but we know that that's going to be greatly higher by the time our 2030 census goes around. I also have dotted plots outside of Vernon Township. We do have reciprocal borrowing agreements, of course, with Hancock County, and we have Pendleton reciprocal borrowers. So because we're kind of placed on that line of Hamilton County, and Madison County, we try to serve those patrons as well. Our Hamilton County residents, we have over 109 family cards that are purchased. They pay $35 to have a Vernon Township Public Library card. We're seeing a more increase of those because if families live right on the side of 96th Street, which is within walking distance of our physical building currently in Fortville, their taxes go to Hamilton East Public Library. And so the option for that is for them to pay $35, which is essentially the amount that residents would be paying for library use. So we're seeing more and more of those. We do have a lot of Hamilton County families that are coming to our story times and our programs. We often hear that they like the environment. It's much smaller, more cozy. Our staff know them by name, that sort of thing. So I did want to share that. Our location's super unique, and so I like to highlight the avenues that we have to support the other residents living just outside of our lines, but bringing them into Hancock County. We do have a variety of design patron cards, so you can see those on there. And like Dave had mentioned, we do partner with Mount Vernon Community Schools and Geis Montessori. All students and staff can get a Vernon Township Public Library card to access our resources. Something that is a little different than Hancock County Public Library is that we're an Evergreen Indiana library, so we pay into the statewide consortium. There's over 155 other libraries in the state that we can share materials with. So that serves as a distribution hub. So our patrons, if there's an item that has too many holds, they can place a hold through Evergreen. It is sent from one of the other 155 libraries in the state to us, and then available for them to pick up and return at our public library. The same for us. We share more than 12,000 of our materials every year with other libraries across the state. We're sending those in and out. I have our resources for teachers. So one of my passions, I was an academic librarian before I came into public, so I like to go into the school systems, educate the teachers and students about their card. So we have our resources for educators on our website where our teachers can fill out a form, request some in-class instruction, and then as well as us providing cards for the students on that day, showing them how to utilize them. We've done a lot of teacher sessions as well to get them educated about how the Vernon Township Library cards do work. You can see our statistics, our increases in library visits. We saw just under 40,000 in-person visits last year, and then we have increased almost 90% by the reference questions that we answer. So we track when people call and ask us any sort of reference question. It could be to get resources into the community. It can be about our collection. It can be just other services that are available. Similar to what Dave mentioned, we track our programs and events. So we held 369 programs last year, 5,703 in our attendance. Lots of those were in collaboration with our community partners. We don't have a lot of space in our building, so we are out in Fortville and McCoursville parks. We're utilizing spaces at Town Hall, those sorts of things. So those aren't just in-house programs, but it is what our staff planned and presented. Our summer reading stats from last year, we had 601 completions. We consider completion if they participate 75% of the time, so 6 of our 8 weeks. And then you can see that we gave out almost 2,000 prizes, which we purchase a variety of things. Lots of those are books, though, so they can choose their own books to start their home library each week if they participate in summer reading. We also have a partnership with Libby's Ice Cream for 1,000 books, so I like to highlight that a lot. So 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten is a program that focuses on readiness for students to enter school. And 1,000 books seems like a lot, but we break that up into hundreds, and we're encouraging, it's a family bonding experience too. We encourage the parents to read to the kiddos, and then they track that either through an app or come to the library. We have a little wall of fame that they get to put their stickers on as they complete each 100 of those. And then at 500, they do get a Libby's Ice Cream gift card. So working their way to 1,000 books, we have a partnership with Logan Homes, one of our local home builders, who will purchase a book that the child wants to start their home collection. The map on the next page is kind of my mind, if I could draw it. So each of the orange highlights are things that we're doing that are outside of our collection, outside of what we consider to be, foundational library services. So we work with early childhood centers. We visit 17 in Vernon Township, including the local schools, preschool, and those are daycare, story time. Our staff go in, present a story time, do an activity with the kiddos, and we visit them each month. And we see 27 sessions each month of kiddos in those entities. We also do school outreach. So I mentioned going in and presenting to the schools. We partnered with Mount Vernon to offer adult English classes last year. That also was paid for by a grant through the Community Foundation. We've also increased our after-school programming for all ages. So we do visit both elementaries, Fortville, McCoursville Elementary, the middle school, the intermediate school, and the high school to provide after-school engagement. We also provide delivery service. We don't have a bookmobile, but we do go to all of our senior living facilities one day of the month, provide books and materials for them to check out. And then we've also started partnering with the home builders when they have their family days to get people acclimated with the area, or people that have bought homes. We're going and presenting and providing an activity and getting them signed up for library cards on those days before their homes are even ready. And some future focuses. So I'm going to talk here in a minute about our McCoursville location, but we are revising our strategic plan this year. We are doing that in partnership with the Mount Vernon Education Foundation. We're also creating multiple unique collections, so that'll go into my discussion with the McCoursville location as well. Of course, our focus is always on literacy development, supporting our families and our young kids, getting them ready to school, and providing those literacy elements and love of lifelong learning. We're expanding our community partnerships. So we have partnerships with Ivy Tech Community College out of Anderson, Firefly Children and Family Alliance. We have some animal rescues that are all coming and doing programs and offering services to our patrons. And then the Story Walk at McCord Square will also open a little bit later this year. We received a $10,000 grant from the Community Foundation in partnership with McCoursville Parks Department to install a permanent story walk. Our staff will do the story walk each month. It'll have panel boards, and we'll have a celebration to open, of course, but it is open to the public for them to walk around McCord Square Park in between NineStar and the police department and experience a story, get movement. There's a lot of benefits to those, so we're excited for that to kick off as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our McCord Square. We mentioned NineStar Connect. It worked really well that they were here presenting because they have been a wonderful community partner in helping us meet some of our community needs. So we have a partnership with them for a 3,000 square foot space on the second floor of their NineStar building in McCord Square. We began that lease in January of this year, and we are currently in construction for a second library location. Fortville will remain open with current services. Nothing's changing. This is just to supplement the needs that we have for our community and offer an extra space. So all of it will work the same. Returns can be returned at both locations, pickups, holds, but the collection will be unique. So the idea is that we want both spaces to complement each other. It's not a long-term solution to our space needs, but it is something that we can get started now. So 3,000 square foot of pure library space will include 2 study rooms. That is one of our highest demanded things that we don't currently have at the Fortville location. It will feature a program room, which we also currently do not have at our Fortville location, and then all of the foundations of library services. So the collection will be specific and feature some innovative technologies. We've worked with Dr. Parker and the superintendent of Geist Montessori to talk about how to help reluctant readers. So we'll have some physical audio books that are picture books that are releasing. We'll have Yodo players, a lot of the things that families currently may have access to in the community, but the library isn't serving them in our part of the county. A lot of that is the growth from McCordsville into that area. So we're really excited to open that space. We have a mid-summer opening date. So there are walls up right now. Flooring's being delivered this week. So the photos that you have on the next sheet were from when I took those a couple of weeks ago. They're moving very quickly. We have hired a full-time librarian for there, but the rest of the staff will work at both locations and support all of the programs and events that we have going on. We also have space that NineStar has created, a grand stairs. I don't know if you guys have been in there, but we'll be able to utilize that for some of our story times and author visits. So there's additional space within the building that we can truly focus on utilizing and expanding and meeting all of the needs that we have been asked for in the last several years. Okay. My contact information is also on there as well as our board member contacts. So we do have another year on the 2 appointments for your guys' appointments, and that includes Julie Wilson, who's our current board president, and Tanya Galbraith, who is one of our serving members. Is there any questions I can answer for you?
When did you guys start the Evergreen?
We've been an Evergreen library since 2020.
Okay. So you can go to any of those libraries?
Your Vernon Township card will work at any of those 155 other libraries. And we have a consortium hub too. So our catalog is reflective of what is in Evergreen. So if you can specify your search for what's at Vernon Township, but if you open Evergreen, it'll show you all of the copies available to you. You can just place a hold and it's transited for you to pick up. It really works well. We have a limited budget, of course, and so we can focus our collection on meeting the needs of our community. And a lot of times, any of those kind of niche or multiple copies of stuff that we need, it really helps our teachers. So we can ask for, 20 copies of a certain book that they're reading, and we can get those shipped right to the library and then taken into them. So.
And all of us can be members if we want to.
You can.
Okay. There you go. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Thank you for your time, Ashtan.
Thanks, Ashtan.
All right, next up, we're running a couple minutes ahead finally. 9:45 a.m., additional case manager position, Morgan Walker's here, ready to go. I just jinxed it. Well, we got to be done at 10 for public hearing, so.
Hi, good morning.
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 Okay, how are you?
All right.
Good, how are you?
Good. So I went in front of the commissioners a couple weeks ago and presented this, but basically what I am asking is back in the 2023 and the 2024 budget cycles, I don't know if you remember that, but we had 2 positions that were taken out of our budget during those cycles. So we used to have a staff of 11. Those 2 positions were taken, which gave us a staff of 9. About a year or so ago, I asked for one of those positions back, and that was granted. So we now have a staff of 10. What I'm asking for today is that final position back, giving us that staff of 11. What I have in front of me to give to you just kind of outlines where we were and where we are. So if we look back when we had that staff of 11, post-COVID, so this does not look at work release, this is after work release, we were running about 96 clients per month with 11 staff. Right now, where we are is about 127 clients per month, and that's with we just hired our 10th staff member. So we, of course, have more clients with less staff. We've added a ton of programming that didn't exist during the time that we had our 11th staff. So that programming, we have MRT, anger management, substance use, MRT, domestic violence program that is certified by the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence. It's actually the only certified BIP program in Hancock County, and that's utilized by all of the court programs. Right now, we're running it in the jail, but we'll also be running it in our office once our construction is completed. So it'll be referred to by community corrections, probation, behavioral health court, drug court, and then I've talked with Magistrate Coombs, so it'll also be referred to by DCS Chin's parents. And then finally, I want to touch on our juveniles. So if we look at 2024, we had 11 total juveniles that entire year. For 2025, we had 13 total juveniles for the entire year. Where we sit right now, the 4th month of 2026, our 14th juveniles being placed on today. So we're trending much higher. So with that, I'm asking that I get that 11th position back. The salary would be paid for out of our grant funding and out of our project income. So the cost for the county would be the benefit package only. And that's what I'm asking for.
It would totally come out of that fund, right? And you've been building up a pretty good balance in it.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, it'd just be we'd have to come up with the money for the benefits, which can range depending on who's hired, anywhere from 10 to 50,000.
Right.
You know.
Why can't the benefits come out of that fund too?
I mean, historically, I think all of our benefits have been paid for.
Yeah.
We've never paid our own benefits, so I was just asking that that be covered. But if it's something that you're not willing to do, then I'll have to look at that.
The other thing is, what programs are you doing at the jail? I was looking at the jail summary, and I noticed community corrections does have a plot.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, that BIP program, so the one that's certified through the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence, we're running that program at the jail. And so what's nice is if someone's ordered to do that, they can start there, and then if they get out, they can transition. We were running an anger management group, but for some staffing issues, we had to put a pause on that, but we will start that back up too, once we're able. Yeah.
Good to see the community corrections working with the jail.
And that's our goal that's the same with our other programming. We have referrals coming in from other agencies too, at no cost. We don't charge for those programming. So we want to continue to do that, but of course we need to have the staff to be able to run that.
I'm sorry, Jim. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
You told us in our meeting when we were talking about future building needs that work release is probably not in the cards because of the efficiency of the home detention devices and your people. Is that still your?
Well, of course, that's up to the commissioners. That's, of course, who I report to, so that's not my call, but a lot of counties have done away with that because of efficiency and cost, so, yeah.
Morgan, do you think that the grant would allow the benefits to be paid from the grant? I know the grants allow certain things and they don't, but it could be paid through there. I'm not saying that's what I want, it was just a question.
Yeah, it wouldn't come out of the grant. It would have to come out of our project income.
Okay.
And I will say too, I work very hard to keep our grant funds. So I've seen the trend in juveniles. So I wrote a juvenile grant, and it's the first time Hancock County Community Corrections has ever wrote a juvenile grant. So I do try to keep a pulse on things and write grants to keep that and to be able to sustain our programming, which is why I try not to ask for money. And you know, we have 0 county general dollars, and I try to keep it that way. So, yeah.
One position that you're talking about, if the grant had to pay the benefits, they would be an outlier employee because they would be the only one of your staff that is not paid through the county budget process for their benefits. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, because all of our benefits are paid for by the county, so they would be the only one that wouldn't be, yeah.
And I don't know if Mary would, Bomer would want to chime in. I mean, is that overcomplicating something anyway, that's to have one person from one department that's treated differently than?
So I don't believe benefits can be paid from the IDOC grant.
Okay.
But I will say years ago, when I did payroll, which would have been prior to 2013, there actually were benefits coming out of your budget, but that's when they had county general dollars. At some point when work release was eliminated, then I believe
They got it
and
all
they
covered.
just started operating with just the IDOC grant and the project income fund. At that point, the county was picking up the benefits, but there was also a big sustainability issue at one time, and I do believe they've built up their balance. But I think if benefits started being paid out of county, or not county, but out of project income, I think that fund would probably not be sustainable over time.
Well,
It's just a
like
guess.
Mary, my experience with grants, I would be quite surprised if they would let you do that.
Well, and also when you're writing for grants each year, you want it to be as clean an ask as possible. And so I don't know if it would convolute it to try to do something like that anymore.
There's only a few grants I know of that allow benefits. I believe VOCA is one of those. The people that are paid out of child support, out of the federal Title 4D money, they get reimbursed for benefits, but usually that's not something the grants do. I think they want it to go to either salary or programs.
How much are you asking for this position? Do you have a number plugged in?
Well, it just depends on the experience. So we require a bachelor's degree, so it's going to be around $50,000, but it just depends on their experience. It could be a little less or a little bit more.
Mary, were you asking her what she's going to pay out of her funds to the person, or were you asking what it costs us
Yeah,
in county
because
general?
that's not paid for by the county.
Were you asking what she plans to offer the position out of her money, or were you asking what it costs us here?
Oh.
Yeah, so if they don't take the insurance at all, it only costs
It'll be less
FICA
than-
taxes and pension. If they
Yeah.
take a family plan, then so.
You're
Yeah,
closer
that
to
amount,
50,000.
that amount would be their salary, which would be paid for by us out of our grant and project income.
Okay,
Not,
so-
that's
yeah.
not your cost.
So the salary is the 50,000?
Yes, that would be their salary, and that's paid for out of the grant.
The benefits.
Yeah, I would have no idea what-
10 to 50,000, pretty much.
Yeah, I would have
Is
no
the
idea
range,
what that would
depending on
be.
what they select.
If somebody takes a family plan.
That's 40.
It's substantially more than if they just take an individual plan or if they are already covered by a spouse's insurance.
Yeah.
So we'd be agreeing to it without knowing what
Correct.
health care they're gonna take.
Right.
Yeah, and obviously, I don't know what that would be.
Is this position for immediate, or is this for our budget year 2027 to
It's for
budget?
immediate. We have immediate needs.
And then what did the commissioners say to you yesterday?
They gave me a favorable recommendation.
I like the idea. I like to see that you're focusing on juveniles and creating programs to get ahead of that with those age group of people. kids, so I don't know what we need to do today or if we're going to do anything today. Scott, it's up to you.
No, it's on the agenda. You can make a motion today. We just need to know where it's going to be paid for, and then if we have to advertise or anything like that, or appropriate anything.
Well, it would come from general fund, wouldn't it? I mean, that would be, no,
The
where,
benefits would not?
No.
where did the,
Well, the benefits would,
Benefits
yes,
would,
those would
yes.
come from the commissioner's budget. I'm assuming we would need an additional appropriation
Yeah.
from her budgets.
Out of the
We would also need a salary ordinance amendment.
so the monies would come as a whole. I just want to put it in a place that it would
Yeah.
stay.
Ma-
and not
Mary,
have to
your
renovate
comments
it this
about
year and then next
the
year do
benefits
Or you guys will do
coming from a grant, but the benefits would be coming from the other, your fee-based thing. I would think we could do that if we wanted to. It's probably complicates matters for the,
For the benefits to come from project income? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying? That wouldn't be a problem. I just don't know if it's sustainable over time.
Right.
They don't collect, they struggle with, like all of our departments, collecting from people with criminal backgrounds.
So I guess we need separate motions if we're generally favorable to, is the rest of her employees' health insurance benefits in the commissioner's budget for county general? Okay, so that would be the one, first thing. I would make a motion that we approve adding benefits for one additional employee, corrections, to be compiled with other insurance costs funded by council in the commissioner budget.
I'll second that.
Okay? Everything good? I'm trying to look to the attorney. Everything good?
Yes, so
All right.
far.
All right. I've got a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next motion, or?
And we need to advertise for an additional appropriation out of her own funds so that money's available to hire somebody, right? That's a thumbs up.
Thumbs up, everyone.
Yeah.
For 50,000?
Okay.
You'll just need to let me know if you want to split that between
Okay.
two funds
Yeah.
or how you want to
And
work
it'll be a
that.
prorated amount this year anyway.
Yeah.
And then next year you'll have the full amount to build into your budget.
Sure.
Okay.
Anything else?
Does that cover everything, Mary?
I just have one quick question. So on the benefits, is that going to include FICA and PERF? Because we will need to add money
I would
to
say it
those
has to
lines
be
as
all
well.
encompassing.
It has to.
They don't-
Yeah, it
Okay,
has to.
so that'd be group insurance, FICA, and PERF.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so are you suggesting we need another additional appropriation for the remainder of the year on that? Or is there
Probably just
catch up with that later in the year?
wait and see.
Yeah.
I think there'll
'Cause-
be a shortfall for sure, and
Well, isn't there always a shortfall? I said, isn't there always a shortfall for that? We have to-
there has been the last few years. So maybe we can just address that
September.
I think
with
we
the
should
rest.
just wait and see what we're going to need.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we hired the six, when we approved the court security, did we appropriate anything additional
We
on the
did.
benefits there? Okay.
Yeah, we got it
I
all.
wasn't at that meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, anything else?
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, go ahead.
could I backtrack on the sewer project for just a minute?
Yeah.
To let everybody know that he couldn't be here today, but FSG has been in on all of the meetings and has guided the whole sewer deal from the standpoint of the financial end of it and all the work with the state, getting the SRF stuff done. And Greg has been doing all that.
Yeah, I think Greg was online watching or listening
Yeah.
in today. Yes, yeah, where were that? Hey, all right, I got 2 minutes till we can do our 10 o'clock public hearing. Do we have how about the minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
I have a motion, and a second to approve the minutes for March 11, 2026. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
That took 30 seconds.
You guys are too fast.
You need 30 seconds?
No, I said that took a whole 30 seconds.
I know, I knew I could do that one. The problem is the other ones are gonna take
Yeah.
multiple
It
minutes.
says it's 10 o'clock.
Huh?
My clock says it's 10 o'clock.
Well,
My iPhone says 9:58.
58.
now it says 9:59.
Well,
Jeopardy music.
Deb,
One thing I could help fill the time with is
Go ahead.
Dee Dee Allender, county have agreed she will become an employee. So that'll be on your radar too, in terms of salary and or benefits and what that's gonna look like. So I'm just,
So is that going to be an agenda item, or is that going to be something for our budget then for next year?
no, I think it would have to be an agenda item.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that, that had been resolved with the solid waste. in the
is it,
commission.
she will become an employee of the county, and it'll be a year one employee?
Well, that's.
Because I know there was discussion
exactly.
about service that,
Yes, that's
interested in being
one of the
compensated
issues
for.
that you guys will need to kind of, how you feel about that. I think she will be requesting, seniority.
Yeah, we just can't continue in the arrangement that we have now.
Yeah,
the
Rob was on
contract.
board, so
Yeah.
she was there yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll look for the update on that, because I know last time we talked about it, when we looked at what defines a contract employee versus employee, all the boxes were checked that operated like a contract position. So if something's changed, I'll have to get
No,
updated.
what it was is basically wanted her LLC to be the director, and I gave a legal opinion that doing that, and Rob
Yeah.
was. And so then she had to decide what she's gonna do. And frankly, whether she was still gonna even stay in the position. And then she came forward, and originally we were considering her as a county employee. We were looking at that option. I think we wanted that because we were able to have her 8 to 5.
Yeah.
With a phone and all those good. So now
Some accountability.
we've kind of come full circle.
Yeah.
She's agreed to that.
Oh, to be an 8 to 5 in an office?
Well, you have to be an employee.
Yeah, that's what I'm that's what I'm
So,
asking.
exactly. So, yeah,
Actually,
so you,
When we started this,
Oh,
she
okay.
did not know that she could not use her LLC as she's done ever since day one of her employment. So now that she couldn't do the LLC, now she's decided, well, I'll be an employee instead. So
Well, she asked us to be an employee and we told her no, so.
that was because she didn't want the oversight or whatever it was, but she didn't know that she couldn't use the LLC. That was the whole thing. That held every bit of it up. So
I guess there's more to come on that,
Yeah,
right?
there's going to be more to come, and it's past 10 o'clock now. So
Let's
he went past his minute, so.
I filled it up for you.
Yeah, you filled it up. All right, 10 o'clock, it's now 10:02. The public,
Yeah, we always go over it a lot.
we're going to start the public hearing for the additional appropriations. First up is Fund 4021 Solid Waste Management District. It's the solid waste HHW collection tucks away of the amount of $25,075.23. I open the public hearing. Is there anything from the audience? Public? Anyone from the council? All right, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve the amount for solid waste.
Make a motion to approve the amount of $25,075.23 from Fund 4021-35201 Solid Waste, HHW Collection Tucks Away.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. All right, next up, Fund 9110, the NineStar Community Trust Grant. It's for SUP 1 client supplies in the amount of $68.25. Luckily, Kent's not here, but I opened a public hearing. Anything from the council? All right, at least Kent won't be able to vote no, I guess. I close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve $68.25 from Fund 9110.21151 NineStar Community Trust Grant as an appropriation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next up, Fund 9118, Hancock County Community Foundation. That's for probation training, and it's in the amount of $1,470. I open the public hearing for any public to make comments on this. Not hearing any. Is there anything from the council? All right, I close the public hearing and will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for the Hancock County Community Foundation. This is from them. It's Fund 91118, and it is probation training, and it's for $1,470.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And that concludes our public hearing agenda items. Next up, 10:15 a.m., abatement application, Mary No.
All right, everyone should have got a copy of the latest version of what we had talked about at the previous meeting.
Thank you. Throw it at you.
I myself, after I sent it out to you guys and started looking at it a little closer myself, I made a couple of changes to it just because it was more type of typing errors than anything. I corrected on, let's see, it'd be the third page, just answering questions 12 through 14. Actually, the numbers changed, so they're questions 7 through 9. So I fixed that. And I reached out to the auditor's office and economic development to see if they wanted to update their email contact, since the auditor will be leaving at the end of the year and the economic development director would be leaving at the end of the year. The auditor agreed to go ahead and put Mary Bomer, who is running for auditor, but now the bookkeeper for the auditor's office, so it'll just be an easy change of email address. Randy got back and he doesn't want his changed. So it will continue to stay as R. Sorrell until, I guess, they hire a new director. So that, I got that fixed in there. And then I posed a couple of questions of my own to the council that I'd like to get some direction on as to whether or not if we want to put a timeline on after the abatement has been approved, that they have to pull a permit. I think that would be the thing that would activate the process moving forward. If they were to get an approval, say this year, and then something changed in their capacity to start, how much timeline are we willing to give them to start? I think we kind of verbally went through a few of the last abatements that were approved. It was either 5 or 7 years, but I don't know if that's still how the board feels or what their opinion is on that topic.
Well, kind of that, and we were talking before the meeting about a couple of other things in here. I guess I would throw out, maybe it would be interesting to hear from the people that sign up for this about some of these items and get their input. Not that they control it, obviously,
Right.
but just to get their attitude about it. And I think there are several developers on the HEDC, and I would assume that they would be happy to come and comment on some of this.
Well, Robin and I both talked, she and I, Bill Spalding and Gary Poole worked on this in the first go-around that made some of the initial changes that we don't want to end up with a 10-page application. Right now, we're at 4 pages, and the amount of information that I want to see on there, and this is just for me, is just strictly county council requirements and needs to know to move forward on deciding if we're going to approve it or not. The developers, I don't know what they would bring to the table, per se, that would affect us directly.
Maybe, for example, on putting a timeline on it, I would assume if you're building a spec building, you're going to buy land, and so they've got an investment in this thing. And so if you put a time limit on it, Would that mean that most developers wouldn't do that? I don't know.
I just don't want
Or if
an
you put
abatement
a
that's floating around out there that's 10 years old.
I think 5 and 7's too long myself. And I would be much more generous with owner occupied start dates than speculative. You know, if you were building a speculative strip mall, let's say, and you don't know who your tenants will be, well, I'd be more leeway, but they don't apply for abatements. It's only industrial. So we're only talking about speculative industrial. And I'm not saying I know the exact right amount of time, but I would say within 12 months of your anticipated start date on speculative. Now, if you're going to be owner occupied, I would be much more liberal in case they run into an environmental hazard that has to be cleaned up or something that takes a lot of time.
Right. I know an example was the I-3 project. The abatement was granted, and then for whatever reason, their decision does not start is what now? Are we in the third year of the abatement being approved and nothing happened?
But they went back to agriculture. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a
yeah.
commissioner's decision.
So 3 years, you know, I am not inclined to go a lot longer than that if that's my opinion.
Well, I'm thinking whatever the smaller amount is we decide, we could always give them an extension, I would think. So start kind of the smaller, and then we could give an extension if we had to, if they had already started or, you know, with the planning and everything. Because it does take time. Scott could probably talk about that, how long it takes them to get through planning and some things with their buildings.
I think that's a good best practice, though, to give relevant guidance. And that's just from my work and having a clear regulatory framework to where not only we have that oversight, but the developer knows, hey, I've got 2 years, and then I can request a 1-year extension if we go that route. Or if I have 3 years, like having it on there is a best practice versus keeping it ambiguous. So that's, in some of the research I did, I looked at a lot of other communities and some of their agreements, and just a general regulatory best practice is being clear. And so I think whether we go 3 years or 2 years with a optional 1-year extension, and I like the idea of getting a developer's eyes on it or investor's eyes on it. Just, we don't have to do anything they say, but that's another good best practice is to have their look at it, because there may be something they're like, oh my gosh, this would never fly. And then again, we're not going to take everything they say, but it's good to get their eyes on it. When you think about agriculture, you know, we work with corn and soybean farmers, and we look at the ag industry and then Farm Bureau. And so I think in this case, you know, us as the council, but then thinking of those other groups to get their eyes on it. But I think anything we can do to be more clear, so again, not only the investors and developers, but also the public knows, here's what they can expect and know what actions we're going to take at 2 years versus, oh, well, we're just going to wait another year, It keeps us from punting it, but also helps the public hold us
Who
accountable.
are appointees to HEDC now?
Pardon me?
Him and Clark.
And
Me and
Clark?
Jim.
Would you guys want to bring this topic up at your next meeting and just get the feedback? And then I'd really like to keep this moving so we can finalize it and be done with it. But then you could bring back their thoughts on it for our next meeting?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That'd be great.
So what we're talking about possibly that you can tell them is maybe a 3-year approval. And after that, they would have to come back before council for any extensions?
Yeah, and any other items in here too,
Well, no.
comment on?
We would probably have to define, is that pull the permit? Is that, again, you know, like, you could say, well, I haven't started construction, but I've done these other things. So like, we'd probably have to be more specific about what starts that clock too.
Yeah, I think pulling the permit, because they're not going to pull a permit until they've got all their planning and anything done. So I'm comfortable with the start date of the project is when they pull the permit. So they have 3 years, if that ends up being our number, to pull their permit. And after that, they'd have to come back and ask for an extension. So that's what you could take to the HEDC.
Sounds good.
On that. Yeah. Okay, that's that one. And then the other one that I had was, find my notes. Do we require an application for each building? I thought we discussed that we would require an application if they come in and say, we're going to build 3 buildings, and this is what they're going to be, but we don't want all 3 buildings on one application.
I agree.
That each building has a standalone application that we can review and what's going on with it. But if they're asking for 3 buildings all at one time, is the application fee just going to be $500, or do we want it per building? How do we want the application fee to play? It's $500, so it's not a huge amount of money, but it needs to be clear what we expect them to pay when they apply.
I like the separate applications. There were some abatements that got approved several years ago that were a number of buildings on one application, and it really convolutes it, reviewing their CF1s annually. So I like that a lot, separating it. I would say go ahead and charge the $500 per application. I mean, I think that's a drop in the bucket for what you're asking for to, and the time you're asking everyone here to spend researching it, and the auditor's office and Nicole processing it. So I think $500 per application is fair.
I looked at a lot of other counties, and a lot of them didn't require that, but some of them did. And I think with the cost of everything, I don't think it would hurt to require that.
Well, and my hope would be, those applications that had multiple buildings, they even said at the time, we're not building building 2 till we're, 80% full on building 1, and so on and so on and so on. And if we're talking about putting time limitations on pulling permits, well, is it building 1? Is it building 2? Is it building? So I think they just do need treated independently, almost entirely.
Keeps it cleaner.
Does everybody else feel that way as far as? I'll type that up and make some changes in what we currently are working with. Changes, okay. So that's what I'm going to do unless somebody has an additional opinion on it. The third thing that I had written down after I'd already emailed this out was on page 1, it talks about if the project changes more than 5%, they will have to refile their application. Is there anything or any discussion? Is everybody clear on that and okay with that paragraph?
Well, one thing I didn't quite understand was, it says 5% in parentheses, but in the written part.
That was me. That was a type. I did not change.
Okay.
I fixed that.
Got it.
That was one of my fixes, yeah.
We did leave
Good
it at
job.
20.
We left it at 5.
We left it at 5.
I forgot to change the typed word from 25 to 5, but I have already changed that, so that will be a change to 5.
Well, aren't we trying to get somebody who changes what they propose to
That's right.
come
You asked about
in
that.
and tell us about the changes? If seems to me like the language could be, I'm not sure what, but a little more general. I mean, if you put a percent in there, it's a percent of what?
Right. Jim had asked me
Per fee,
before the
right?
meeting if they came in and we approved a project that's going to be 1 million square feet, and then they decide, well, we're going to build 2 buildings at 500 instead. We need to know that. It may be that we don't feel that that would fit as to what we visioned for that location. So we need to clean that up a little bit to say that that it will be 5% changes, including, yeah, we need some wording on that.
Mary says more wording. Jim says less wording.
As long as we have a consensus.
No, I agree with you. Do we need to say, if the square footage or
Building
number
count.
of buildings?
Building
or-
count would be.
Well, it could be investment, dollars, But I
yeah.
mean, basically, we want to know if there's a significant change in anything.
I think the investment dollars will be a tough one all the way down. Like, I'm all about 5% on building type and square footage. 5% on dollars, they're ballparking you their construction
Yeah, they
costs
don't
for
know.
24 months out. And so
Right.
it will easily, and there's contingency percentages in there in excess of 5%. So their actual spend could easily vary more than 5%
yeah,
for
right.
what they propose. So I'm not as worried about the investment because they're going to have to meet all the building specs of planning anyway. And they're meeting those hurdles regardless of spend. But I do think on square footage, number of buildings,
Well, I agree because construction costs are just going up and up and up, and they've changed so much that.
I don't want to tell them they have to
amount-
come back again because they're gonna pay more than they said, or even less than they said, as long as they're meeting all the criteria.
All right. I know, for those on YouTube, I do know that made aware that the camera is frozen, but you can hear us. But I also need to take a brief 2-minute recess to speak with Scott Banky. So could we take a recess real quick? Thanks. All right, I'll call the meeting back to order. The next thing on the agenda is 10:30 TIF Management Annual
We
Report.
haven't finished the
Oh, you
abatement
haven't?
thing.
Oh. All right, what do you got left on?
No, I
abatement?
just wanted to address, Clark had sent an email with some ideas or thoughts on
Okay.
it. And I just wanted to take the minute to let him go over what he wanted to say or what he thought would be of interest.
Yeah, I mean, a little late to the game, but I did some research on some other communities and other applications and just found some things. I know we talk about the jobs and payrolls and how those are estimated on there. I think some of the things we talked about, the separate CF1s is going to clean that up. There's some other communities that have but for justifications, but I think a lot of times we know the answer to that. But I just was curious if we do put on there just a section addressing the community and infrastructure impact, just asking for estimates on traffic, road impact, water, sewer usage, safety demands, and then knowing we have Amplify now, just any local hiring, workforce partnerships, and infrastructure contributions. It could be a short section, but it seemed like that was a general best practice. Again, it's not numbers that we're going to hold the developers to, but I think they'd be good numbers to kind of know what to expect, what to anticipate, just good relevant information that we know ahead of time. Again, we wouldn't hold anybody's feet to the fire on those estimates, but I think it would be good to know from a developer's perspective what impact they expect, and then we could start planning. And then the big one is just the infrastructure contributions. I kind of feel if you don't ask, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Why don't we ask just put on the application what they'd be willing to contribute? If they put nothing, we're right in the same boat we're already in. But if they put a fire truck, a fire station, $1 million check, then we can go, thumbs up, that's great. We didn't even know you were willing to do that.
Yeah, we have a section on the second page that does address incentives, that they should list anything that they're expecting us to do, but it doesn't really address what they're going to do. So I could kind of tweak that up if they've reached any agreement with the township that they're going to be located in as to what incentives they will be bringing to the project, something like that.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to sum it up is
That's a
just
good idea.
what are we giving and what are we getting?
Because we had a situation where some of us thought somebody had promised a fire truck, and they said, no, later, they said, no, we never did that. So it would be good to have that in writing.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
And I'm sure it was an honest mistake on their part, because
You
they
know,
have different
we already
people.
ask for jobs, and we use that measure quite a bit when we review the annual stuff. How many jobs did they say they were going to have versus how many jobs they actually have? That's a real good measure for us, because we have in the past canceled abatements, maybe one or two since I've been here, for people that said they were going to have 1,000 jobs and they had 50.
Yeah.
So but most of those businesses were dying anyway. But
Okay.
so,
Right, well, that was all I was going to add to it. It's just any of Scott's or Clark's ideas. So I'm going to make the changes of what we discussed here. I'll wait for Robin and Jim to get back with us on what they were going to talk to, the timeline.
No, that's Clark. I'm not
Oh,
on
it's
the
not you?
HEDC anymore. It's Clark
Clark,
and
I'm
Jim.
sorry.
Clark and
You can go if
You're
you
on
want.
everything. You guys will get back with us
I know, it's
on
hard to keep track.
timeline questions that we were throwing around, and other than that, hopefully we'll wrap this thing up at the next meeting. That's my plan.
Okay. All right. All right, now it's 10:30. We'll do the TIF Management Annual Report, Baker Tilly. Anybody from Baker Tilly here?
Lisa Lee, are you doing the TIF management report?
No.
Oh, no?
No, she's here for something else.
Here for something else.
I will attempt. The TIF management report is similar to it's derived from the expenses and revenues that I produce in the RDC spreadsheet. Basically, within that report, it allocates everything that the TIF believes that they will receive in funding and everything the TIF believes they will spend in funding. This is a new state requirement. It's basically a reformatted document basically from your budget approval. So you approved a budget, those are expenses. Those are reformatted into a state that the State Board of Accounts can do, and then it'll be submitted through Gateway through the auditor's office. I believe that is due before April 20th. This is with a new TIF collection. It's just another requirement, another administrative requirement from the state.
Right, and the budget, this is the closest guess. Correct. Of income. So we base the whole budget off of these numbers, right?
That is correct. But it's a little odd because remember the state's fiscal year starts in July and ours starts as a calendar. So there is some shift on that. But in general, we haven't changed any project in a large amount.
Right, and your income, you do years in advance, so there has been no major changes for next year that you know of that's going to cause.
Our grant receipts were higher than we expected, so we're actually going to be spending about $2 million less than what's on there.
Right, so it's better, not worse. So we're going in the right direction.
It is. This year, every year I hope it is.
I wanted to comment too that Baker Tilly did come in person and present this to the RDC, so
Okay.
they probably didn't think they needed
It's
it.
a,
Because it's pretty self-explanatory.
yeah, and you guys, really the crux of this is when we get to the budget for the RDC. Yeah. For the year.
You want to keep that on you when we start doing well, we're getting into budget season soon, but this does need to be submitted to.
Right.
Deborah's not in here, but her office, I believe, will be submitted through Gateway.
Do we need to make a motion to accept this?
You do. Or that you've reviewed it.
Yes.
That we've reviewed it.
Can I ask one quick question? The Mount Comfort North Allocation Area 1 expires 2034. Is that called something different on the fund balances sheet, Mary? Is that Mount Comfort West TIF, Hancock County TIF 1?
I believe that matches up. It's the GDI area. I don't have the sheet in front of me, though. Hold on.
That's true. Yeah, I'm not sure, Keely.
Okay.
Nicole, do you know?
See, they have
What number?
They do?
this.
Okay, the names do match up with the funds.
What is they here for?
Some of them are actively spending right now.
This should have all
It's a
the
meeting that we-
balances.
But can we ask her a question?
I'm just
since
trying to
she's
figure
in
out
the
which
audience,
TIF
but she
expires in
can't charge us
2034.
$700 an hour. Ask her a question while she's here. Well, she's
That's
already
okay,
here,
we
though,
don't
but
have
she's already
to,
charging
I
us.
can find that out, I can figure that out offline. I don't see in the fund balances sheet which one is called Mount Comfort North Allocation Area 1.
It may not have any money
That's
in
what I say, I
that
don't think
fund
it's
yet,
incurred
and if
anything
there's
yet.
not, then it will not
We don't
show
have
up.
a motion,
Well, the one
we
I'm
just
looking
have
at is
to
the
prove it's
oldest.
been
I'm trying to
reviewed.
figure out which one is the oldest one that's gonna expire in 2034. That's soon.
So will you ask her?
That would be 4616.
The TIF would have to move it in, or RDC would have to.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Lisa, do you have something that you can add to any of this? They keep discussing whether or not we just need to review this and
Yeah, so we just
identify
need
it
to
as
reflect in the
something that
minutes.
we-
You need to review that you've reviewed it.
Yeah, that's all we have.
That's
to
been
do.
reviewed.
Yeah.
As the president, let it reflect in the minutes that we reviewed the TIF management annual report.
Okay, it's called Allocation Fund TIF Revenue is what we're calling it on the balance sheet versus what expires in 2034.
Well, the oldest TIF is going to be the
46.
original one, 4616. the fund
4616 is our oldest.
number. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think they should say the same.
That doesn't really affect, this is just a spending and revenue
Question
report.
for you,
Yes, sir.
Gary. On the Mount Comfort North Allocation Area Number 1, the property tax, lease, rental, bonds, are those all due to the school?
Those are due to the Amplify project, because remember, we have structured it so that we're leasing a road. So yes, that is due to the school. To answer your question, yes.
Will the president allow me to ask Lisa Lee a question, since she is in the audience?
You may, but.
You're
doesn't
running
mean
the
she has
clock.
to Take the time to talk.
She doesn't
It is
have
on
to.
YouTube.
Yeah, I
I don't know
know.
if she wants to come up for YouTube, but.
I know.
This is not generated by her in any manner, but
But
she,
since we're talking about TIFs and Lisa is one of our assets, can I ask you a question, Lisa? Sure. Earlier today, we talked about the TIFs, the continuous TIFs we have and what funds can be allocated for working for infrastructure within those continuous TIFs. Contiguous, excuse me. So we're working on a project in one of our eastern TIFs for a sewer project that we're gonna have to bond for. And I was wanting you, if you don't know it off the top of your head, if you can look for us or whatever, if any of the other TIFs are available to help with that project, since all the TIFs are, and because I'm believing that residential and stuff like that will come out of this TIF that supports the other TIFs.
So you're telling me it's a sewer infrastructure project?
Yes?
That is going to be in one particular area, but I suspect your sewer, this is for, Greenfield is your sewer provider, correct? No. Who's
No,
your
NineStar is our sewer provider.
NineStar, and they're throughout the county.
Right, and we have them in other TIFs already.
Right.
But we're going to be putting a sewer project in one of our northeastern TIFs, and it's contiguous to our western TIFs. And we're going to have to fund it, we're going to have to bond it.
What type of sewer infrastructure are you doing?
They're going to put a new sewer or treatment plant in and run sewers down the roads and.
Will this treatment?
There is no sewer now.
There is no sewer, it's a $20 million project.
Okay, so this sewage treatment plant, can it serve other TIF areas other than just that one?
Yeah, I think that's what you're asking, isn't it?
I mean,
Yeah, I think it can.
I mean, it's got to be
Yes,
connected.
I don't think that's the
absolutely.
plan, though, at that time. I think the plan
You think it'll be a
is,
single?
it's for a very specific area
Yeah.
that will service that very specific area when it's developed at a later date. I guess there's room for expansion possibly. I don't know what their details are
Well,
on
we
that.
don't, the TIFs are so close to each other, like
Right.
on Fourville Pike separates them. And so we don't know in the future if a subdivision goes in on the, at the edge of those TIFs, if it'll be satisfied from the Maxwell or if it'll be satisfied from the other treatment plant that's in Philadelphia.
Sure.
And actually Philadelphia is farther away. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm
That's
saying.
in
We-
Pennsylvania. No.
Right. So
Exactly.
I'm still going back to the same things Ball State told us where would be 12,000 homes between here and McCordsville. Well, if there's going to be 12,000 homes between here and McCordsville the next 10 years, then we got to have sewers for them. And
Most likely, I'd want to see a map and know exactly what the kind of the project is, but most likely in infrastructure situations, we can find that there is a way to serve and benefit other TIF areas, whether it's now or it's there and capable and available for future development.
Right.
So a lot of times we can find support for using more than one TIF area when it comes to infrastructure, water, sewer, roads, because they all connect somewhere and go through other TIF areas.
I was to say they're contaminating water with E. coli and such that travels creeks that go through
Exactly.
the rest of the county.
Exactly.
and-
So if it's going to help clean up those, then it's probably servicing most of your TIF areas. So I think you can find support. I would just want to see some specific facts before I would sign off, but
we're
I
early
think
in
you
the
would find.
project. We're just now
Sure.
envisioning it, or you know what I mean?
I suspect we could find support for more than one TIF area.
And there was also, right now, the TIF that the project's in doesn't really have revenue to
course.
speak of, but they do believe that because of having the sewer and water, that it will create
will.
development
Right.
that generates revenue where other TIF funds wouldn't always be needed to make that.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
So I think we could probably find support, at least for one other TIF area, if not all of them.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Gary, is there anything else left on the TIF management report?
I have nothing else.
All right, then we will move forward. All right, next up is the budget meeting update.
We need a motion
Oh, we need a motion.
To approve the.
yes, to approve the TIF report.
Okay, we need a motion to approve it. Go
I'll
ahead.
make the motion that we approve the TIF management approval report and that we have reviewed it. That was provided by Baker Tilly.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion on the table, Mary, and second by Robin Louder. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. All right, that concludes our timed agenda items. Now to the action items, the budget meeting update.
At the budget meeting last week, we reviewed fund balances, everything looked good. We rectified that darn jury pay that's always trending negative. The special purpose slip for libraries is now spending down. We did say we were gonna have the health department in to give us some updates at an upcoming meeting on their sustainability of their funds. And We went over geo bond totals. Commissioners Gray and McDaniel gave us an update that they have 6.038 million planned for geo bond spending in the next geo bond. Janine or Gary, did you have any, has there been any changes since last week, or is that still the geo bond last week, the totals you gave us? Have there been any new things come up? Okay. So that was that, and we did also discuss the public defender's ongoing need for additional fees for outside attorneys. Anything I missed? Anybody wants to mention? Oh, and we did also ask Greg Garitas to put together some updates on the financials for the Amplify project and bring those back when they're ready.
Did you say reviewed fund balances?
Did I say?
Did you say that we reviewed
Yes,
all the
I thought
fund
I said
balances
it.
into the record?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The only
What's
other
this
thing, Jim, I don't know if you caught it, but the sustainability that Greg had previously given us, we had questioned if it had included backing out the 27th pay for this year, and the good news was it had not. So we told him to show us a 3% increase for the coming budget cycle on personnel, and that was supposed to put us about in line with what this year's costs were after you account for backing out the 27th pay. It was a similar payroll next year with the increase for having backed out the 27th pay. So he's supposed to show us some stuff on paper about that at the next meeting.
Sustainability for the 3% increase.
We did also touch on the Must Group. Scott, is there anything to add there about appointing anyone to the Must Group? I know you'd been already getting contacts about that.
No, it's not, I mean, he's not in a rush, but obviously the other towns and cities are, so we'll just keep communicating with them.
More to come on that.
Oh, man.
That's all I got.
Okay. All right, next up, we already done number 2 on the action item. Number 3, Auditor Business. I know there's several.
Okay, I have one really quick thing.
Okay.
So Weights and Measures approached me yesterday afternoon, and they had acquired a county vehicle last year. They've purchased a trailer with some new equipment, that type of thing. So his budget line for mileage, he really needs that shifted to fuel now to pay for the fuel for the county vehicle instead of mileage from his personal vehicle. So he would like approval of a budget transfer from mileage to fuel for $3,000.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, I have a motion by Kent Fisk, second by Mary No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, $3,000 transfer done.
That's all I have, but I believe Gary has
Yeah,
something.
there's something with the planning department that is part of the auditor business that Gary and
This is just to bring it to you guys' attention. We will be coming back for an additional appropriation for the planning department. Last year, they tried to actually redo their subdivision controls and unified development ordinances. Get that out there real quick. It got to where it was taking too much time, and we've asked Kayla to bring in HWC to actually do that for us and to get it done quicker that way, because we need this done because we're growing and we can't do certain things because it's not in the rules and regulations, all that. We want to get this as combined as we can. So I've got you with the contract and everything, so it's just for your information.
But there'll be more money needed to
It's
refund it.
going to be to the tune of $31,000. She's already got $10,000. It's going to be at $31,000. So
And
please review and.
yeah, being on the planning commission, I was on the committee to meet with HWC and to interview them, and several other people are too. But yeah.
Okay.
And then also, speaking of planning department, and it's also number 4, obviously the commissioners there's been a lot of going on with the data centers, and about moratorium, and the commissioners, I think about a month ago, sent it down to the planning department to set up a committee. The committee's going to be mostly made up of the public, but there will be a commissioner and a council member on it. It does not have to be somebody that's on the planning commission, but people that can contribute. I don't know if you're still interested, Clark, to being on the committee.
I mean, I certainly would be interested. I know making sure.
Excuse me, I need to get somewhere. I just
No,
want to
you're
let you
fine.
guys know.
You're good.
Thanks, Gary.
Making sure there's a clear distinction of.
No, I am not on the, hold on. I am not on the committee. I'm on the planning commission. I don't have to be on the committee. We can appoint someone else on the committee, but there will be one member, at least one member from the council. The council will pick one member, the commissioner will pick one member. I believe the commissioner is probably going to pick Janine Gray, who is on the planning commission, but I'm not positive on that. But we can pick one member, and he has a background in ag, which would be somewhat beneficial possibly to the data center committee group.
Great.
Yeah, just making sure we're very clear, you know, am I approaching it as a council member, as ag, as both? But I know, you know, I don't know what the future of it, but making sure we're also clear, like the council and the commissioner representative, are we going to be voting members or ex officio members as advisors that sit on the committee but don't vote? I just think the purpose of the committee is to get the different voices, that if the council and commissioner representatives are voting members, that could be looked at as swaying influence. But I think it's good to have both those voices at the table on the committee. But if there's any votes, I would just maybe recommend to the planning committee or the commissioners to make those two positions as ex officio members.
I've recommended that to the planning committee and those that are trying to organize this.
I think
So-
that's an excellent idea.
But being on the planning commission myself, I will have a vote on whatever they decide to push it on to the commissioners, and then the three commissioners will have the
Okay.
ultimate vote.
So you'll be involved in it also. So
I
we'll have
will.
two people. Is this a reaction to a specific data center
No.
now, or is this us trying to protect ourselves?
It's trying to protect ourselves, the water and all that.
Okay.
For the future.
Okay.
Some,
All
a member of the public brought forth a
I was-
moratorium to the
I keep
commissioners.
hearing these things, that things are going to come back and drop on top of us. And so I just want to make sure there wasn't something happening that I didn't know about.
There's nothing immediate, but there is land that's zone industrial, and that
I
could be
know.
used right now as
I
a
know.
data center. I don't know if the land's really big enough for a mega data center place, but.
Oh, so you're saying without, that has been a question of the public, is there somewhere people could go build without even
They
coming for a
can't,
vote?
yeah, there's a situation that could happen, I think, without any of us being involved at all.
As long as you
But-
don't need a tax abatement.
The zoning's already
But
there.
we're trying
That
to
we won't
TIF
have
that
any
area right now, I
control over
believe.
that, but
We're in the
if they
process.
wanted
It
to
is
get
TIF.
abatement,
It
then
is
that
TIF.
will be our chance for control.
And
So-
so this committee will likely produce some changes to what Hancock County has in writing that would
They-
put us in a position that people could not build a data center without getting
They will make a
approval?
recommendation to the planning commission of some sort that may include a moratorium or may require some, like maybe not full moratorium, but a partial moratorium or no moratorium. So that,
The moratorium would only be us voting it down, or it would mean that somebody couldn't build something even that's
it would
already
be
zoned?
somebody cannot build something of whatever you put in place. So if you put right now a moratorium on all data centers and no data center can be built.
We can't vote anybody down if they don't ask for tax
I
abatement.
know, that's
And
why
they
I'm
won't be
asking.
asking for tax abatement.
Right, I
There's no
know.
reason for
No,
that.
no, Google does not need your tax.
No, they don't need our
Yeah.
tax abatement. So we're helpless unless we set up some things.
Kayla, what IC code, or not IC code, but the county code, does the data centers fall under? What letter, what?
Yes, there are some industrial zoning districts where a data center or a communications
Qualifies.
service exchange could be permitted by right and would not need to go to the BZA or request a rezoning.
Are you discussing maybe redefining those
That
zoning
is-
rules?
Yes, that is something that this subcommittee could discuss and recommend then
Okay.
as an ordinance
Because
change.
I would think that should be a big part of it.
Yes, agreed.
All right, so if we're going to have Clark Beyond, we'll need a motion in a second to appoint him to the data center committee.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to appoint Clark to the Data Center Committee.
Good luck, Clark.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
Welcome to
Vote for
the,
yourself.
welcome to the jungle.
All right,
Exactly, exactly.
all right, we've completed items 3 and 4. Anything else among the council for the good for today?
I think Kayla,
I will say one thing. I predicted the end of the thing was Friday. I missed it 3 or 4 days. Okay, but
Yeah, do you have something, Kayla?
Regarding the contract that I gave you a copy of, the total fee is actually $39,825.
all right.
Okay. And auditor, is there anybody that's scheduled to speak for public comment?
no.
Okay. And then I think we have an 11:30 county farm visioning meeting, correct?
Right. And
Mr. Shelby?
Jim did make a motion. I'll second
At the
it.
jail.
At the jail. I have a motion by Jim Shelby and a second by Kent Fisk to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign.